in less the time that I was born. I remember when I was 10, and the time from when I was 10 to the time that I am now, we had 2 world wars in this world that killed millions upon millions of people. Yep. And NATO has been a part of a global equilibrium that has prevented the deaths of tens of millions of people. There's been deaths of millions, surely, but not nearly as much as during that era. And so the durability and the importance of that alliance, I think, is hard to overstate. So Trump attacks that, but and we can talk about his fawning relationship with Vladimir Putin. We won't find out what transpired between those two until probably the trials, hopefully, that will start by 2021. But leaving that aside for a moment, I don't know if people remember the country of North Korea and how we were supposed to have peace with them by now, but it sure seems like I don't know if there was some hoodwinking that was going on, or if, my theory about Donald Trump going to North Korea was that if actual denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, if actual peace with North Korea got in the way of Donald Trump announcing that we were denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, or that we were engaging in peace with North Korea, then he would eschew the former for the latter, right? Like, it may take time to actually work things out. And if that's the case, it would prevent him from announcing mission accomplished. And I think he was like, okay, so we're just going to go for the announcing mission accomplished and try and just not worry about the other stuff. And that seems to what happened, because Mike Pompeo was utterly humiliated by North Korea this week. And that could be the best case scenario, it seems to me.
Oh, absolutely. I think we know when we watched that whole pageant that they put on in Singapore that this was purely a made-for-TV event, but, on behalf of both parties. I think Kim certainly took advantage of it as well. And they're, Trump and Kim are similar in this way, right? They really like the big pageants. This is, it's this ritualized leadership, strut that they both like to do. So they got that out of it. And when we saw the, quote, agreement that they came up with, it was clearly empty, vapid, and completely useless as anything meaningful as far as denuclearization was concerned. And for a lot of North Korea and South Korean experts who looked at it said, this kind of actually, puts us on a rather dangerous path in kind of giving Kim more than he should be given at this stage in any sort of negotiation. And as you and I have talked about many times, any day that we're not in an immediate nuclear crisis with North Korea is a good day. So, I'm not going to put down any efforts to try and, if you can just drag it out, right? Drag out whatever it is we're doing for years and years and just keep from having an actual confrontation, we're better off. But the fact remains is that, Kim Jong-un has nuclear weapons, and he's not going to give up his nuclear weapons. That is just not, certainly he's not going to give them up to Donald Trump. He sees Donald Trump exactly as he is, which is, some kind of a showman who he can manipulate through that sort of behavior. In fact, the humiliation that you described with Mike Pompeo, they were very, very hard on him. They ran him around. They put him in a crappy hotel. They were rude to his face. And then they contradicted him completely at the end of the summit, which normally diplomats would say, well, we made progress and we'll get together and meet again and blah, blah, blah. And they just said, no, the Americans acted, it was like, it was gangster land or something, and they accused Pompeo of trying to strong-arm them, which in a way I'm sure he did, because the demand from the United States is you've got to, hey, get rid of your nukes and then we'll talk. That is not what the understanding with Kim is. But what was interesting at the end of that, when the North Koreans said, we still maintain our great relationship with President Trump, and we are eager to speak with him again. they want another summit. They want to deal with the dotard. Let's just face facts, because they know that actually helps them. And in fact, the last time he gave up the military exercises with South Korea, just unilaterally, and just said it, and then made the fatuous excuse that it cost too much, when in fact those military exercises cost less than what it has cost so far to send Donald Trump to Mar-a-Lago every weekend. They're not expensive by comparative standards in the American budget. So
right, because it's not like we're building the boats for the sake of the and the planes for the sake of the exercise. They're there. It's just that they do a specific thing. That's all.
They practice.
Right.
They practice. It's normal. So in any case, this is going to be an ongoing issue, and the problem is it's not so bad that we're keeping this thing going. Keeping the dialogue is better than not. He's got the nukes. I think it's going to be very, very difficult nobody wants any kind of invasion or war or anything. So just keeping the dialogue open is a good thing, but you just don't know what Trump is going to do. I mean, he could very easily destroy the alliance with South Korea, destroy the alliance with Japan, in service of this ridiculous, quote, relationship with Kim Jong-un, which he clearly does not understand.
Well, he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that, and it's not that he would do it. It's just that these countries would say, hey, wait a second. The United States is no longer a partner that is rational or that is functioning in our interests. And we've got to make decisions. Japan says, we should militarize, or maybe they were going to already, but we should militarize even more now. As you can see, the president has basically said, we're going to stop protecting Japan, or more or less, or we can't rely on him to. I mean, the implications of this are far reaching.
Yeah.
And who knows what happens with a more militarized Japan if that destabilizes things? Who knows?
Well, what could go wrong, right? I mean,
exactly. And not to mention, there's also the possibility that at one point it becomes an embarrassment for Trump. And then he reacts in a way that is, again, destabilizing. I mean, so I agree with you. I think it's good that we're talking to North Korea. And if, on some respects, if Mike Pompeo can go there and be a whipping boy for the next 2 years and nobody seems to notice. But, North Korea obviously continues on with its nuclear program and they have no reason from their perspective to give any of it up. And particularly if they think they can milk it and get, Donald Trump to come pay another visit and promote UN, I mean, then they would be very happy. So it is, I think, sadly, what we thought it was. And I would just remind people that just because Donald Trump, the classic, I saved your life today, Heather, I decided not to kill you.
Exactly.
Just Donald Trump diffused the crisis he created. I don't think.
Well, again, the gangster approach, right? I mean, isn't that, hey, nice little business you have here, to be a shame if anything happened to it? I mean, that's his ethos.
Don't make me worry about Mueller, or maybe I'll go start war in North Korea. You never know. All right. When speaking of the Mueller investigation, when we come back, let's talk about the Mueller investigation in the context of Brett Kavanaugh, the president's choice to sit on the Supreme Court to replace Anthony Kennedy. We got to take a quick break. I'm Sam Seder. This is Ring of Fire Radio.